How you doing, everybody? Now you move. Now you move. Thanks a lot. Well, hi, everybody. T. Morris here. And today, I have seen a lot of images of this guy. William G. Bill Huttel. He was an amazing dude. And while we saw a lot of pictures today, I saw a lot of pictures today in my feed of Bill, I wanted to actually talk about a different role he played. The picture that I posted. Bill was not necessarily known for this role like he was as King Henry the VIII, but when he played the ghost of Christmas Present, that stage was electric, and that's him with actor Glenn Evans. That was with Upstart Crow, and in the picture that I posted, that was me as Bob Cratchit. I have no bones about saying this. Bob Cratchit was a dream role. I loved playing Bob Cratchit, and the thing is, I kept seeing all these pictures, and I remember there was a picture. There was a picture that I had of me with Bill on stage, and I thought it was in one of my scrapbooks, but turns out I didn't have it. I didn't have any of the Christmas Carol pictures in the scrapbook. They were all loose. So the funny thing was that I actually got a chance to go through some of these photographs, and I have not looked at some of these photographs in a long time. This one, for example, this was a birthday party. And we were at the melting pot. We were in the melting pot of Rockville, Maryland. So yeah, Bill was an amazing guy. He was an amazing guy. And I can honestly say, of all the different videos that I've ever edited, the one I did for Bill was the second hardest video I've ever had to edit. And I can also say that I wasn't the closest friend of Bill Huttel's, but I was getting to know him. And that's the story that I want to tell. My story of Bill Huttel, of King Henry the VIII, when I was at the Renaissance Fair of Maryland. So I had worked at the Maryland Renaissance Festival for, a few years, quite a few years, when and I was getting to know Bill, and he was a very, you wouldn't know it, but he was the Bill Huttel I knew was a very reserved guy, and it was something I never quite understood, because when you saw him on stage, he just took command of the stage. I mean, he was great to watch as the king. He was terrific to watch in A Christmas Carol. And the photograph that I posted on Facebook was one of those moments you have as an actor. We were in rehearsal one night, and Bill is just doing he's doing his thing. He's doing his monologue, and he happened to have his hat within sight of my of me as Bob Cratchit, and I happened to have a coin in my pocket at the time. And as he's talking about the charity and all this stuff, and people know Bob Cratchit doesn't have 2 pennies to rub together, I reached into my pocket and I pulled out the coin and I just dropped it into his hat. He didn't miss a beat, and he started doing his thing. He started doing his oh no. Meanwhile, everybody in the house is just dying, and the director said, keep it, and every night that gag made everybody chuckle. It was one of those great moments that you have between another actor. But really, the most vivid memory I have of Bill Huttel was when we were throwing the cast party for this production of A Christmas Carol. We were throwing the party, me and my then wife Natalie. We were throwing the cast party, which doubled as a Christmas party. So we had mulled wine, and we had some we tried actually doing a traditional Dickensian Christmas, and we had mulled spice wine, and I couldn't remember the wassail. That's what it was. Wassail. We had wassail, and there were so many different recipes of wassail. Natalie just improvised, and to this day, I still can't remember what that recipe was. And Bill shows up, and I remember Bill and Frank Sinatra shared this in common. Their signature drink was Jack Daniels. There was an unopened bottle of Jack Daniels, and he comes in wielding it like Milnier, and he breaks the seal, and people are taking shots and all that stuff, and the party's going on, and it's a terrific cast party. Then it starts to wind down, and it starts to wind down a little more, and we had started just after the show, so I want to say it was like 10 o'clock when the cast party started, and it was just shortly after midnight, maybe half past midnight, and people started leaving, and that was when I noticed that Bill was on the couch just chatting with Natalie. And I was just straightening up and catching bits and pieces of the conversation. And eventually I sat down and just joined in with him. Thank you for that. And we just talked all night. Me, Bill, and Natalie. And it was the most he had ever opened up to me about him, about who he was, about some of the roles he had done before I knew him as King Henry, and the more I talked to him, not Bill, not King Henry the VIII, but just Bill. He was just such a neat guy, and he had so much of a life, and he touched so many people, and it was a really just it was one of those talks you have with somebody that you never want to end because it's that good. It was one of those solid, just heart to hearts, and Bill says, well, I'd better go. And that's when I look at the clock, and it is 3 a.m. Now, Bill lived at the time, he lived in Maryland. And the party was here in Manassas. So we're talking about a 2.5 hour drive. 9 in the morning. It's 3 in the morning, maybe even 3:30 in the morning. We just done a show that night. And that bottle of Jack was nearly empty. It was about as full as this bottle right here. And as Bill gets up to leave, that's when Natalie takes me aside and says, T, he's been hitting that Jack pretty hard on it. He shared some of it, but he's been hitting it pretty hard. Get him to stay. And I'm like, oh God, you're right. We can't let Bill go. Now, keep in mind, I should also throw this in. Let me see if I can find a... Okay, as you can see, Glenn is a pretty tall dude, and so is Glenn is a tall dude, and this guy right here, Kevin is at least 6 foot. Bill is not. He is the only man in this that is not wearing boots that have heels. Okay, Bill is wearing flat-soled shoes. And that's because Bill, it was a giant. It was a giant, okay? And so he's a brick wall with legs, and he's 6 foot something or other. And I'm just sharing the memory. And Bill comes to the door. You've been drinking, haven't you?
No, I haven't actually.
So but Bill, so Natalie and I walked Bill to the door, and I said to Bill, and I looked him square in the eye, as serious as I could, and I said, Bill, Natalie and I have noticed you got to be tired, because you were the ghost of Christmas past, for Pete's sake, and you've been really hitting the jack hard. We're not comfortable with you driving in the state that you're in. Why don't you just take our guest room? And this is where I got to take my glasses off, because for those of you who know Bill Huttel and have seen him as the king, this was the look he gave us. And I'm going to see if I can't do it right now. Hold on. And for those of you who know Bill, that cock of the head and the crooked eyebrow. And then I looked at him, this giant man, and thought, yeah, that was a stupid thing for me to say, wasn't it? So then I do what I normally do. I stuck my hand out and I said, I'm going to drive safe, man. And then everything went dark. And the reason why everything went dark was because he hugged me. Bill had never hugged me until that night. And it was a really tight hug. And I thought to myself, wow, I think I just met Bill Huttel for the first time after 5-6 years. Then he turns around to Natalie. Natalie just disappeared from sight because Natalie was 5 foot and Bill is this big guy, and he hugs her, and she just disappeared. So that's how I remember Bill Huttel. Not necessarily as our king, not necessarily as the ghost of Christmas past or present. Sorry, ghost of Christmas present. But I remember him as that. So I'm going to drink a toast of this 17-year-old scotch, which I know Bill would approve. Drink a toast to his memory. We lost him 14 years ago. And it was all very sudden. Bill also taught me how to appreciate scotch, too. And him and many other people at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. He was a good coach. But it was very sudden. And the gentleman who took over, Fred Nelson, terrific actor, great guy, and a terrific King Henry. And he also posted a very sweet memory about Bill as well today. And so I wanted to make sure that I posted my thoughts as well. So this is to Bill Huttel, the ghost of Christmas present, King Henry the VIII of England, and my friend. You are missed. Yes, Bill would definitely approve of this scotch. Thank you, everybody, for sharing that memory with me. If you've got a memory of Bill, if you've got a photo of Bill, post it today and just say something nice about it. And when Pip and I sit down and coordinate our notes, we're going to talk a little bit about the Kickstarter and stuff like that too, but this moment's for Bill. Good night.